of the Ron March Show, and you're listening to the Truth to Power Show. And Ron March is talking about the United Nations, their visit to Detroit. Ron, can you kind of give us another a recap of what you just said? They can hear us now. That was me.
Oh, okay. Well, this week has been a hot week in Detroit because the United Nations is coming in Friday, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. And the State Department, along with our coordinator in the city, had to set up an agenda approved by the president or the president's office or whatever in order for them to come into the United States. Now, think about that for a minute. You just can't call United Nations in and for them to just come in and take over and resolve your problem. But by international law, they have to come and report to every country that has a problem. They report to those countries once a year. And during that time, I think it's once a year, during that time, they are given the opportunity to speak and go on certain agendas and that type of thing. I mentioned to you earlier, Bev, that they, during the Katrina, they were supposed to, they did have ships in the Mediterranean in order to, what am I trying to say? Help the people down in the Katrina.
Didn't they have medical supplies and stuff on the ship?
Yes, they did. Water, medical supplies, food, almost everything you would possibly need for floods that we had. But United States, through their, what can I call them? TOMS, through their network, United States, through their network, they made it clear to United Nations that they did not need any help from United Nations. So as a result, they didn't come into down and help the people. Well, in Detroit, we did it knowing that information. We made it clear that we wanted them to come in. We went through different avenues. They got permission to come in, but the agenda had to be approved by the United States government. And United States government approved the agenda. We tried to change the agenda and ran into a buzzsaw in that we couldn't do it because we now have our black television station wants to interview them, and we couldn't get permission soon enough for it to be approved. So the bottom line is they're coming in Friday. There's going to be closed-door meetings with selected black officials from the
Who selected the black? These are not. Okay, go ahead. Let me let you finish it.
Maureen Taylor is the lead person in the entire program. Okay. Maureen Taylor. She runs the welfare rights organization in the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. She said she would do through her other connections, especially the Native American connection, has set up this weekend. And we also have Europe, all over the world. They're coming in this weekend, all over the world. Now, all of the news media wants to be a part of this weekend, and we had to shut them out because we don't want the spotlight to get away from Detroit. We told them to show up on Monday with the mayor and his group, and they can do whatever they want to do on that end. But we're going to take 3 days to show the true problems that we're having in Detroit. And
can this be video? The meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
My department or my connections,
mm-hmm.
We are going to stream line. What do you call it, Wally? Live stream. We're going to live stream as much as we can. Definitely on Sunday, when they have the open public meetings, we're going to live stream that.
Okay.
Now Saturday they're going to have meetings at the ASME building down on Lafayette, and we're going to try and see. They start at 11 o'clock down there, and we're going to try and go down there and possibly live stream some activity there, but I'm not sure. But we'll definitely be there Sunday at WC3, Wayne County Community College, the downtown campus on 4th Street. We'll be there from approximately 1:30 until they all land or it's over with. The official meeting starts at 2 till 4. I think that's what they said, or 4 to 6.
That's Sunday. That's Sunday.
That's Sunday. Yes.
Okay.
Saturday is 11 to 1, and because they got a big project going for Sunday. I mean Saturday, because they're going to use buses. They're going to use buses to go to 6 different nationalities in Detroit that are catching hell on their human rights being violated. And that's already set up. But they're going to take a bus with 15 selected blacks. I believe I'm going to be one of the 15. I'm not sure yet. But there'll be 15 selected, not blacks, revolutionary. Let's call them revolutionary. 15 plus the repertoires. And we're going to go to these 6 communities and go inside their homes, bring them out, invite them out, and put them on the bus to file their complaints, because they're in such dire need that they can't come out. They're handicapped, or their water shut down, or whatever. And Maureen Taylor set all of this up because she's running the welfare rights. She's got connection with thousands of people in Detroit, poor people that are catching hell through this crisis. I'm going to a meeting on Thursday to make sure that the foreclosures and stealing these homes will be dealt with from the United Nations. I have my complaint partially filled out that I'm going to turn in, but I'm going to make sure that we have plenty of complaints set up on the foreclosures, which means anyone that's been foreclosed on, I can tell you now, all foreclosures are illegal. I'll say it again. All foreclosures are unlawful. They claim it to be legal, but I claim it to be unlawful, and I can prove that it's unlawful. And I can do it real quick by just telling you, Bev, that we've talked about before. The United States filed bankruptcy in 1933, which means every foreclosure came from a closing. And each closing, you signed a promissory note to pay. They cannot produce the promissory note, so that means that the houses are automatically paid for. You get it?
Right. Now, what about a lot of the people in Detroit lost their homes to taxes? Is it anything or anybody addressing the losing of their homes with taxes?
Yes. That's going to be brought up. That's a foreclosure also. And I'll just ask you one question, and that is, why do you pay taxes? What do they tell you the purpose of paying property taxes? What is that about?
For the schools, for the roads, and things like that.
Right. So if that's the case, then what are the city taxes for? And I guess what I'm telling you is the schools. See, listen. Everyone thinks the education in the United States is free. Nobody pays for education from the lower elementary schools, but that's a misnomer. We pay for everything. That's why they make you. Now you think about this, Bev. They make you bring your birth certificate and/or a Social Security card in order to register your child. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. They tap into your SISQ account. When you start school, they pull money out of your SISQ account in order to pay for taxes, for buildings, and all of the processes that run the school. The students of that school pay for it through their Social Security account. They don't tell you this. That's why they will tell you that you should only use your Social Security account. I think they say it should never be used for ID. It should only be used to open up a banking account. Have you ever heard that before, Bill?
No.
Okay.
I take your word for it.
Okay. Well, they make you bring, anytime you show your Social Security card, they're going to tap your SISQ account. I don't care what it is. And you, out of what they call acquiescence, not knowing, you're going to give them permission because you don't tell them not to take it out of your account. That acquiescence contract that we've talked about in the past, Bev, that's the most dangerous contract that ever has been used in government. That, along with the adhesion contract. Acquiescence is when you don't know about it. Adhesion is when you know, but you'll lose something if you don't do it. Such as when you go to get a job and they take your Social Security, all of that information. And if you say no, you don't get the job.
Right.
So that is called an adhesion contract. But you can get out of either one, adhesion or the acquiescence, by just sending a letter in to revoke your signature and say that I do not wish to be in contract with you on this particular issue. Also, before you do that, almost made a mistake. You must reserve your rights.
Right.
You must anytime you sign your name, I don't care what it's for, you must reserve your rights. Once you reserve your rights, you have a chance, an opportunity to cancel any contract that they claim that you have.
Now, what about when you getting things on the internet?
Such as?
And you're not
purchase?
Yeah.
Purchase? Okay.
Now, not like you can purchase car insurance, home insurance on the internet, and they ask for your Social Security number, and some things you don't need signatures.
Yes, it's the same thing. Once you give up your Social Security number, they have a right to go in your account.
Okay.
Period. You dig?
Yeah.
And most people don't know it, but now you need to ask me, how can you secure your rights, reserve your rights when you're on the internet? And the only thing I can say is, once you get what you want, you need to send them a letter and take the date. It should be in detail. On so-and-so date, I went on the internet, I signed up for this particular program. At this time, I do not wish to contract with you, and I want to reserve my rights on that. And I guarantee you, they will probably send back and say, well, you need to send the goods back, you need to do this, you do that, anything negative, but you don't need to send it back because you paid for whatever you wanted, but they have you on record as being agreeing to it. So if something happens, such as, I'll give you a good example. Let's say you buy a computer and they say there's a 1-year guarantee, and you say, oh, that's good. So you drop it, you take it out on a boat and drop it in the water, take it out, and then I got a 1-year warranty. So now you get back to land, you call up, tell them all that. They say, it don't cover it when it falls in the water. What the hell are you talking about? Well, the small print says this, says that. They got you. You follow? But if you reserved your rights, that means you don't adhere to all the small print. All you adhered to was the 1-year warranty and the computer being in your possession.
Now, yes. Now, like when we had this flood here in Michigan, and a lot of the insurance company didn't cover the floods because they said that they didn't cover the drains. system. It was in the contract or however. So if we had sent back and told them to reserve our rights,
correct,
would they had to cover that, even though it was in the contract?
Yes, yes.
Yes, a lot of people got screwed on that.
Because two things involved there. There's a federal law called TILA, Trade, what TILA? TILA, Truth in Lending Act. Truth in Lending Act is called TILA. And TILA says you must give full disclosure when you set up a contract. There must be full disclosure. Now, I know because I had FEMA come out, and when FEMA came out, FEMA said there's a difference in flood insurance and backup drain insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your insurance company is going to differentiate between the two, they should have explained that to you when you signed up. Because first thing I would tell you right off the bat, you would never think that there would be a flood in Detroit.
Right.
So you would say right off the bat, I don't want that flood insurance, which would make your premium go down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you have a drain backup and they're supposed to cover damages, now they're going to try and throw that drain damage in with the flood, and they can't do that. There's a difference between a flood and a drain. Unless they sit down with you and went into that area and totally explained it to you, whereas you had an understanding and they can prove that they told you that. For example, they'll say on page 15, put your initials at the bottom because we just discussed that.
Right.
Okay. Now you're going to say, oh, hold it. No, we ain't discussed a damn thing. Let's go back. What's on 15 that I got to make so-and-so? Now you got them.
Mm-hmm.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're going to now they can tell you anything on the phone because they train those phone operators. They just like you. They don't know nothing. So here you are upset because your drain backed up, and that backup was a bad backup. I mean, when I say bad, that's almost impossible for drains to back up and flood out a basement. I can see rain from upstairs coming in or coming down through the walls or cracks or something to flood the basement. But when the drains back up and everything else is dry, you got a problem. And the insurance company got a problem because they don't have that in their insurance policy. I guarantee you they don't have in those policies that they don't cover backup drains and floods.
Well, mine had it in there that they don't cover drains.
Worded. Give me best of your ability. Tell me how that was worded.
When we come back from the break, I'll go get my policy and I'll read it to you. That's hard.
All right. Was it in the area of the flood or flood waters, or they just said drain? They don't bother, deal with drains.
I know it was different paragraphs. I don't know. Okay, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the flood and the drain.
Yeah.
Okay. FEMA came out to my house and gave me a interview, and they gave they selected you know what I mean. They came out and looked over the house, did everything that they supposed to in regards to that, went all over the house, and they told me they'll be in touch with me as to what they're going to pay me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, did you get FEMA to come out?
No, I called my insurance.
And apparently they didn't cover everything, right?
Exactly.
Well, why not call FEMA?
Oh, you still could? I thought you just only had a certain period to call them.
Oh, no, not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Call them and tell them that, your damage, most of your damage had to come from drain the water.
Yes.
And you should be looking for another insurance company, too. I tell you that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, the hell with that. insurance companies covered it. But at break time, we'll talk about yours when we break it out.
Okay.
See exactly how it's worded. Okay.
Now, going back to the human rights, the United Nations in Detroit.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, they're coming in, and if you go online and look up, Google Human Rights Council Complaint Procedure Form. I'll say it again. Human Rights Council Complaint Procedure Form. There's a 3-page complaint form that you have to fill out. And Bev, if you're on your computer, kind of click it in, so as I deal with it, you can can see. And when we do go on break, I should be able to bring it up. And let me see if I turn on my camera. I didn't even have my camera on. It should get me anyway. I can bring it up. But bottom line is this: it's 3 pages. You need to read it carefully before you start, and then you need to. It's got 1, 2, 3. I'm counting the sections: 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 sections. And the first section talks about who's filing the complaint. Now, all I can say to you is, Bev.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just say it this way. All I can say to you is, it gives you categories in this section, like number 1 is your last name, first name, nationality, address for correspondence on this complaint, who's making it, where do you live, telephone number, who's making it, where do you live, email address, website, submitting the complaint, two categories, on the author's own behalf or on behalf of other persons, please specify. That's section 1. Now, across the top of section 1, it says 4 ways to categorize yourself: as an individual, as a group of individuals, as a non-governmental organization, NGO, or other. Now, have you brought that form up yet?
No, I'm looking for it. It's the Human Rights Council complaint form. That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Now, I have decided. Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
I have decided to classify myself as other. And as you get through this program, you're going to understand why other is very important. Now, my name being last name first, March L. Bay, first name Ronald, nationality, Moorish American. You can do American, a Native American, Moorish American, Olmec American. You have to classify yourself other than a nigger. I couldn't say it any other way, Bill. I keep telling y'all can't go around here calling yourself or let someone call you Negro, colored, black. There's no such thing. Oh Lord, I just can't say it enough and loud enough. If you put that in there, it's going in the garbage can. They look on the records of all the nations in the United Nations. There's no Negro nation. You could put in there indigenous Ouachita Moor. Because if you're indigenous, that's your nationality right there. But from what continent are you from? And they know where the Ouachita Moors are from, North America. You got it?
Okay.
Then they want your address. Have you got the complaint up, Beth?
I'm having an issue. Let me see.
Well, it's no. If you don't have it, it's no big deal.
I'm looking for it.
Let
go
me
ahead,
talk about.
Ron. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Number 2, it says information on the state concern. Now, we, through English language and education, when I say state, you think of Missouri, Mississippi, and Alabama.
Right.
That's not a state. Technically, those are countries, but I'm not going into that tonight.
Okay.
A state can be, any corporation is a state. Any corporation is a state. Any trust is a state. All of it's the same thing. A government's a state. A country, Mississippi and Alabama, those are 2 states each. You dig it? Fannie Mae is a state. Trot and Trot is a state. Bank of America is a state. They're all corporations. You follow me?
Right.
So your problem would have to be Michigan. Mine would be, my personal, Michigan, Fannie Mae, Trot and Trot, MERS, MERS. That's the one that's been stealing all your homes. 36th District Court, 3rd Circuit Court. All of these are states of concern. They have taken my home. You having a water problem, you would put in there Wayne County. I could put Wayne County in here also. Wayne County, the water department, the city of Detroit. You get it?
Right.
All of these are corporations. All of these are states.
Okay.
By definition. Category 3, facts of the complaint and nature of the alleged violations. It says the complaint procedure address consists consistent patterns of gross and reliable attested violations of all human rights and all fundamental freedoms occurring in any part of the world and under any circumstance. So what you would do, you would go to 2 things you can do. Number 1, you would want to go to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. And you can start with Article 25. I was trying to bring that up, but I got to run in my mouth, Bev, and I didn't get to do it, but I'll bring it up as we speak. Then you would go to where would you go? You would go to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Read it. Anything that affects you, you should put it in category 3 on this complaint. When you go to United Nations, when you look up the human rights, put in there housing and read all of the things that United States of America is responsible for. And surely they're not responsible for evictions. Because how can they evict you if you signed a promissory note to pay for the damn thing? You kind of get what I'm where I'm going.
I got you.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when you get into housing, you're going to be shocked. When you get into water, human rights on water, you're going to be shocked. Everyone is obligated to have water. They didn't say charge for water. Your body is over 85 to 90% water, and now they're going to tell you you got to pay for water? Nah. And do you realize that, let's say, Bev, correct me if I'm wrong. 5 years ago, you were paying for water every 3 months.
That's correct.
That's right. So let's say you were paying $75, $80, say with some round figures, $80 every 3 months. So let's raise it up, $60 every 3 months. So you could almost say you were spending $20 a month for your water, which you could live with. All of a sudden, these people, these crooks, come up with a whole lot of gobbledygook. Then they say they're going to do you a favor by making you pay every month so you don't forget to make payments. The first year or 9 months to a year, you were paying $20 a month. But all of a sudden, today, for that same $20, now you are paying upwards of $90 a month. How did that happen? I think they say it's been raised 210% since they did it on once a month. I mean, when you was paying 3 times a month. How did they do that? Who gave them permission to do it? Did you sign for them to do it? What contract are they using to raise it? You get where I'm coming from.
Right.
And listen, Beverly, listen to this carefully. This will get you right in the mood where I'm at. I want you to think about it. Number one, every state, and I told you what a state was, every state has rules, regulations, ordinances, permits, non-permits within the state. Do you hear me?
Every state.
Every state. Now, name one. Let's go with Trot and Trot. Trot and Trot has rules that they are, and I haven't read them all, but they have rules that they're not going to give you but X number of dollars on such complaints as Fair Debt Collection, not Fair Debt, yes it is, Fair Debt Collection Act. They're only going to give you $1,000 per, it says per, the law says $1,000 per, but they shoot you $1,000 for the whole case. They did that to my son. I called it and sent it back and told him to stick it where the sun don't shine. We only authorized to pay. We acknowledge the violation, and the law says we only have to pay $1,000. So they set it up to read that they only have to pay $1,000, but the law went further to say per infraction. There's a word, yes, ma'am. There's a word called. We talked about it in a meeting the other day. What was it, Wally? Anti-Attila? What was that word we talked about, anti-Attila, in the meeting when it says they only give you half-truths to hold back on the real truth? Remember we talked about that? Well, I got it, yeah. It was called something like that. But anyway, what it means, I can give you the definition, they're not giving you the whole truth. So since they're a law firm, you will assume that they know what they're talking about. There's another one. You take your automobile and pull it up in a paid parking lot. Let's say you're going to a football game. $20 on football games. Big old sign hanging up there says, we're not responsible for any items lost, broken cars, and all that kind of crap. So you come back, your windshield broke or your mirror's been broke, and they say, read the sign, we're not responsible. And you go home crying and mad because they didn't pay. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a misnomer. If you paid them, it's a contract, and you're reserving your rights as you pay them. They did not explain to you all of the rules and regulations, nor did you agree on the rules and regulations. You so quick to get in on the game and running your mouth as you get out of the car, you don't even think about it. Throwing $20, everybody keep walking. So he, by acquiescence, assumed that he got him a dummy. Go on in there. And a lot of them, Bear, will go home before the game's over. So nobody's even watching the lot. And the first thing when you get home to tell somebody, well, you know, they broke in my car, you tell the attendant, oh, he wasn't there. Yeah, they got that sign up saying they ain't responsible. Baby, please. You don't have a contract with them crooks. Here's another one. You at home didn't make your car payments. 3 o'clock in the morning, here come a tow truck company to steal your car and take it away. You mad, knowing that you didn't make the payment, so you call the police and they say, oh, there was a tow, you didn't make payments. First question should come to your mind, how did they know? That's the first question. I'll explain that in a minute. But number two, the tow truck company has a contract with the city of Detroit, who has a contract, because when they come after you for tickets, it's the city of Detroit. But if they come after you for a repossession because of car payments, they have a contract with the loan company, not the dealers. Whoever financed the car, they have a tow company that's on contract with them. You hear them talk about it. Oh, we got a tow truck company on contract. You've heard that before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Question to you is, do you, Beverly, have a contract? A tow truck on contract? No. Did you have a contract with them crooks that stole your car? No. You see the hookup?
Yeah.
So then when you go to the police, they gonna say, oh, see, they part of all this madness. They say, oh, you didn't make payments. Or they'll say, for example, I got a deal I'm working on right now with a guy. These crooks didn't even go to the police department. See, the law says, here's what the law says. Their law meaning the police department. They got their own laws in that state of DPOA. Their state says in order to go into a particular neighborhood, you must come by the police department and let us know who you are, because either you may get shot or the police might shoot you thinking you're still in the car. So what you do, you must go by the police department, tell them who you are, show the paperwork that gives you a right to get these cars, and then they go out and get it. 90% of all of the dealers do not get a number until you threaten to sue. And when you threaten to sue, now they're going to get a number, and then they got to juggle the books in order to get the number in there. And we don't even know about that kind of stuff. You follow me?
Yeah.
Man, it's a game. They've
Yes, it is.
a long time. We've been so out to lunch, let me say it clear, that we don't even want to think about it because we believe that the police know what they're doing. We got a problem right now with FEMA, Homeland Security, all of the, surgeon generals of these hospitals. Don't you know that if somebody's in big trouble with this Ebola crisis down in Texas, down in Dallas? They had a nurse today that they came down with it. She flew on an airplane from Cleveland or from Dallas to Cleveland or Cleveland to Dallas with somebody. No. She had headaches, and when she landed, she went to the hospital, and they said she had Ebola. Now, she worked at a hospital where that guy died, so she caught whatever she got from him. Now she done flew in the airplane. You don't know how many's infected. Everybody's sitting there. They don't know if they're going to live or die. Think about it. So now, here comes FEMA, and you find out that they didn't take no precautions. When I say FEMA, because they're supposed to be in charge of some of this Homeland Security type stuff. They ain't in charge. They don't know what the hell they doing. Getting paid all of that money. Then you turn around and look at the hospitals. What kind of program do you have set up on a crisis for Ebola? They don't have it. So now you get sick, Bev, and you wonder what to do, and everybody say to you, well, Bev, that's a major crisis. You don't really have grounds to sue. Baby, please.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I've argued, and I don't do it anymore, argue with people on certain situations, and they just literally told me, you can't do that. I said, how do you know? You ain't even went down there to try. I'm giving you the real deal, and you telling me that somebody told you it didn't work. My wife went to this was a long time ago, she went to a car wash, and the brushes tore off one of the windshield wipers. Oh, she was so mad she didn't know what to do. They told her to get on out of there, but we're not responsible. It must have been something wrong with this, something wrong with that, whatever. Beverly, I went down and raised so much hell. They made the manager come in. Now, he took me to the side. Here's what he told me. How much do you think the windshield wiper cost? I don't know. I said, $10. He said, all right. Car wash is $4, $3. I'm going to give you 10 car washes and get the hell out of here. Free. So I took it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, why would he do that? If all them signs mean something, and why would he take me off to the side to make the deal with me? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't start suing because that's the most ridiculous thing. The man said he's going to give me $40 in service just to calm it down. Now I'm going to go to court and try to sue him. No, I'm going to take the deal that he gave me. So my point is, when it comes to a state, Beverly, and I want you to hear me clear as I start, every state has its own rules and regulations in order to survive. I don't care what it is. And maybe I should say in commerce, every state in commerce has their own rules and regulations to survive. Some of those states tie into other states. For example, the state of Michigan may have laws that govern a tow truck company, for example, which is understandable. However, I don't care about the state of Michigan. If this chump came and took my car at night, that's hijacking. And I guarantee you, as soon as you send a letter to that tow truck company, a lawyer is going to answer that letter within 7 days and tell you something stupid like, oh, well, we have a contract to do that. Oh, yeah? You might have a contract, but you don't have it with me. Whatever I do in my personal business has nothing to do with you. See where I'm coming from?
Right. I see it. And then someone in the chat room wrote that state equals estate. Your estate?
Yes. Yes. Yep. I haven't looked that up, but I would agree. I would agree that it would be a state and a state. I'm going to look that up. That's it. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, so I don't want to. But at least they're thinking. Whoever's in that chat room, they thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important thing right now. But you understand what I'm saying. So now, the question I give to you, Beverly, and I mean I'm giving it to you. What state are you in as an individual? Now, you can join the Catholic Church and be in that state, okay? You can join the Girl Scouts and be in that state. But my question is, what is your state? And I'll answer it before you say anything. You don't have one. That's what makes you a slave. That's what makes them do whatever they want to do to you. And that's why when some people can go to a courtroom, and we know the courts are crooked, and the judges make up rules as they go along. And that's legal because they own the court system. That's their court system. That's why they can jump on you and do what they do to you, because you're going in naked. You don't have no state to challenge them.
Now, if I say, okay, now you talked about the nationality. I'm an indigenous. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Now, how do I establish a state?
Now you talking some good stuff, man. And that's when we have to raise our consciousness to Granny's level. See, Granny could dictate to the courts what they do or don't do. I don't want my son to go to prison. They didn't send him to prison. Remember back in the day, they used to send us boys to court, to army, rather than put us in jail. Because the mama said no. Mommy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We didn't realize that because they hadn't put everything in place yet. But that was part of it. So now you ask, what can you do? You have to recreate Granny. But now you got to do it on paper. So what does that mean, Bev? The answer's right there. You got to incorporate yourself. And you got to do it in such a fashion that not only do you protect yourself, you need to protect all of your properties. You dig it?
So that's where it comes in, the trust, when you say we need to become a trust.
Yes, ma'am.
An irrevocable trust.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody's not ready for it because I've talked you through it, and you are learning. You done come a long way from it.
A very long ways. Yes. when I first started, I was like, what is Ron talking about?
And guess what? A lot of the people that you talked to before don't really talk to you now.
Yeah.
Because in addition to you talking sense, you don't realize that you give off a rhythm in your mindset known as an aura.
Mm-hmm.
And that aura, people can see that aura and they'll back up. They won't come your way.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I meet a whole lot of people one time. And when they see me, they go the other way and say, well, I ain't ready for that. It can't give me a headache. Well, he ain't ready for truth. And I respect that because it ain't his time to wake up. It's my time to be the knower. What's that word they use? It's to let him know what's going on. To be there's a word for it. Can't think of it right now. But I'm supposed to tell him the news. He could take it or leave it. It ain't for me to say no more. But he can never say he didn't know. None of these blackies, when if for example, here's a good example, kind of comical. If Judgment Day, as the Christians know it to be, so I got to make sure you understand that. You know what that means. There's old JC sitting at a table. Here we come lined up, and we give him our names, and he say, go to hell or go to heaven. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
90% of the line is going to hell. And I mean them Christians is going to hell. Because they're not doing what they're supposed to do while they're down here. I don't care what you say, what they say. You know what I'm talking about. And that ain't for me to judge. I'm just giving you an example. Probably the only ones that have a sure path to heaven is the European, the Peckerwood. Why? Because he keeps his foot in your butt to make you do the right thing. Follow me?
I follow you.
Yep.
So getting back to this complaint form, this human rights complaint form. So, yes, I found it. So we can't put down, when it says what state are you from, we have to establish we have to incorporate ourselves before we can even fill out this complaint, right?
Wally. No.
No?
I'm going back to the form. Nope.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Get that message. All right. What number are you at? Number 2?
Well, this form I don't have a 2 here. Wait a minute.
Roman numeral 2 that says information.
Yes, okay.
It says information on the state concern.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what was your question?
So what would I put there?
Michigan, Trot and Trot, Fannie Mae.
Okay, so don't just put Michigan. I could put 36th District Court. I could put the Michigan the Treasury Department or whatever.
Yes.
That's what I have to do there. Okay.
Yes. Whatever your problem is.
Okay.
And then you can relate that problem or that violation to the United Nations 1948 Declaration of Human Rights. If you go there, and I'm gonna pull that up on break so we can go through some of those while we are on the air.
So what Maureen Taylor and them, they probably put in the Detroit Water Department. Michigan.
Who's gonna put it?
I mean, if this say that we fill in this complaint, and just say that they're complaining about the water department.
Yes.
So that you would put in Michigan, Detroit Water Department, something like that. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And you'd have to put in, because I'm not sure when they come out to turn your water off, do they have a court order? I never had the water cut off, and I never talked to anybody about it. They should have a court order to turn your water off.
Okay.
Anytime they take something from you, like constitutional rights, you must have a, like they say about the 13th Amendment, you should, what does it say? Nobody can go to be a slave unless they have been punished by the courts, something like that. Okay. So they can't come out and turn your water off unless they have an order from the courts to do it. But I know that they're doing it without a court order, but they should have a court order because they're violating your 13th Amendment. And anytime they take something from you, they violate your 13th Amendment.
Okay.
And taxes, sure enough, violate it because they're creating I don't have it in front of me, a penal. Detroit is a penal state. How did it get there? By taxes, tickets. Anybody that's got a ticket, they got a human rights complaint. Because all tickets are violation of your human rights. Because you have a human right to travel. And all of you are not truck drivers to drive. You're not cab drivers, truck drivers. You get it?
Right.
See, we need to be educated in these areas. And like I told them in the meeting Sunday, it's too close to this weekend to try to educate everybody. But we need to make sure in step number 1 that we make ourselves not be Negroes, coloreds, black, Afro-American, all of that ancient mammy crap that they put on us.
Because it's going to go in the trash can if you do.
Yes, file 13 is where it goes.
Okay.
Because they don't know who is that. You dig it? So I'm going to bring up, we're time for us to take a break.
We can take it now.
Okay. I'm going to bring up human rights violations and the 13th Amendment. I'll read that to you. Because that should be, everybody's problem should be the 13th Amendment. So that means that our problem is with all the courts and traffic court, everything in 36th District is a violation. The whole program at 36 is violations. All they do is take money from us. And money creates, that is a tax, an unlawful tax. And anybody that's been to jail or know somebody in jail, you can get them because they're not allowed to put you in jail because you have a debt. And a lot of people go to jail because they can't pay tickets.
Right. And what about child support? Same
thing.
Okay.
Same thing. It should not put you in jail for child support. Child support is not a county or court problem. But see, when you got married and gave permission to that third party that you don't know about, you know who that third party was, don't you?
No, who was that third party?
You think you got married to you and your husband.
Right.
I'm telling you there was a third party involved, and that third party was the state of Michigan.
Now, how did they get involved? Because we signed the form?
Because the person that married you stated in your face, by the laws endowed in me by the state of Michigan, I pronounce you man and wife.
Yes.
You should have cold-cocked that punk and tell him take that out. You ain't doing nothing in the name of the state of Michigan.
Okay.
And anybody that is married under that should get a divorce and then remarry with someone that don't use that.
Okay.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they come and take your children, because you gave them a right when you got married.
Okay.
And if you have a trust, you put all your children in as beneficiaries, and you can put in there that nobody, bylaws of the trust, nobody can come in and take the children. And any I don't know how to word it right now, but any contract that's out there is null and void.
Okay.
And that means they can't take your children. And if you and your wife get in a divorce, ain't gonna be no child support.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they have their own rules. Everybody else has their rules set up in their state, don't they?
Yes.
You know, and you didn't have anything to do with those rules. Who told you you could only do 30 miles an hour in a certain area? Somebody sit around and made that crap up. You dig it? Who told the police department to stand around on that porch to make a movie and then turn around and kill that young girl? And nobody said nothing. They gonna tell him now that we ain't gonna try you for it because we don't have enough evidence. What is that about? Those are rules that were set up inside the 36th district or whatever court, Murphy's Hall of Justice, and the DPOA and the police department. They agreed on that. The family ain't did nothing in agreement with them. And so now the family, only thing they can do now is sue for civil rights because they don't have a contract. They don't have a nationality. Can you dig that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So they got to go with the civil rights piece because they are going back to being 14th Amendment citizens. Nobody can use 14th Amendment citizen but us. It's mighty strange. You ain't never heard of Whitey bring it up. Whitey tell you I'm a citizen of the United States of America. He didn't say he was a 14th Amendment citizen. You have to say you are 14th Amendment because you don't have any rights. You have benefits because you're 14th Amendment. No rights. And we should go back and investigate. I'll say this and then we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We can talk about it when we come back. We need to go back and investigate what did Martin Luther King give up when he signed that Civil Rights Act. I think he said every Negro in the United States is a 14th Amendment citizen. Because right after that, we started having a problem with the youth. And youth have been youth ever since I've been a youth. But I was a youth. You dig it?
Yeah.
Then they start building prisons all over because the youth of this and the youth of that. They changed the rules and made stealing a bicycle a felony when we used to take bikes every day when I was young. You leave your bike parked somewhere and I don't know you, we're going to take that bike. But now those little so-called tricks they are felonies now, crimes now. And it's only to the 14th Amendment citizen. That's why we stay in the news all the time. Because we're 14th Amendment citizens. All of the rules only pertain to us. We gotta go. Oh.
Okay, we'll be back. We'll be back.
Let me I did go and get the United Nations.
Okay.
And I'm going to read just 25 to give you an idea of everything we talked about, how they covered this. We have rights, human rights. Stop talking about civil rights because that's when you get back in the contract. The civil rights pertain to the 14th Amendment citizen. And the dog, the cat, all animals, Negroes, coloreds, blacks, even Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and others are in the 14th Amendment. However, they don't want them to know it, so they give them special privileges because they have a nationality. And that keeps us in the dark. You follow me?
Okay.
All right. So let's go with Article of Human Rights of 1948, United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It states, everyone has a right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself, herself, and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. Do you hear that, Beverly?
Say that again, Ron.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Everyone has a right to a standard of living adequately for the health and well-being of himself or herself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. So, let's take an individual who at this time in Detroit was living with his income, his unemployment, and or his retirement, and due to the auto industry, we created a so-called black middle class. The auto industries moved out. They began to attack our pensions, cut back on our medical facilities. They're violating our human rights because the circumstances that caused this to happen was beyond our control. Because the capitalists of General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford just shut down shop and moved out. And each one of those three owes Detroit billions of dollars. Billions. How do you get to that figure, Ron? Because when they built the plants in the beginning, we gave them tax incentives so that they would build the plants here. And the tax incentives were on a 5, 10, 20, 100-year process. You dig it?
Yes.
So if they moved out in 20 years, they were still on the contract for 100 years of tax incentives. Do you kind of get it? So we should have been standing at the door when they left, say, wait a minute, y'all got to pay us this money before you leave. And nobody was there to tell them, no, you cannot leave. Now we go to the casinos. The state brought those casinos in. They refused. But maybe that's kind of touchy because we had a nigger mayor that said we didn't want it and gave all three to Vegas.
Yeah.
So that may not be a good argument. But if we could classify him as being a Negro, a 14th Amendment citizen, then he is against indigenous people who are not 14th Amendment citizens. But see, we got to be sophisticated to fight our battle from that perspective. And that's how they fight it all over the world, except in the United States, because we have a color line in the United States. And they make sure you remember the colored line. But how is it that you go to a country like France, they fight each other head up because all of them are French. China, all of them are Chinese. Come on, y'all. Wake the hell up. Here we are in the United States. They say, oh, there's a color line here. Oh, there is no color line. Yes, it is. You're making it a color line because they're white. They can get this privilege, and we're black. We got to get that privilege. And no one says anything. So they get away with it because it's acquiescence or adhesive contracts. A guy called me up. He had he worked for a Teamsters company with a cement driver. He was so mad because they started taking his union dues out of his check before he was in the union. He told me, Ron, I want to stop them from that. I said, watch out. Stop. Don't say a word. Because if you move too early, the company and the union will fire you because you're not in the union. He looked at me. I said, that's right. They work together. It's to the company's advantage for you to be in the union so they don't have 100 people to satisfy. They only have one person to satisfy, and that's the union. So they will get rid of you because they know you're going to be a troublemaker. So I said, I suggest you be a punk and get your 90 days in before you start running your mouth. He said he agreed, but I don't know if he did or not. Mm-hmm. But now we got part 2 of 25, Bev. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. The lady that refused to let her child be shot with Ritalin, and they sent the police to her house, she should have said, you're violating my human rights. She just, to my knowledge, she just said that she didn't want her child to take it because it wasn't healthy for her child to take it.
Right.
You know, I don't know the specifics, but I'm just saying. They were violating that child's human rights by forcing some type of medication on that child. And let's remember, they force you to go to school. Whatever happens to the child, they are responsible. If you send your child out the door headed for school and a car runs over your child, what happens to the family and the child, Beverly? Outside of calling the ambulance, taking them to hospital, trying to get them well. What's the next step, would you say, Saint?
I mean, they would say the school didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, I'll say this to you. Let me get this off of here. Where we at? Hold up. I'm going to do it. I love that music. They would say the school didn't have anything to do with it because it's right out here in front of the house. So I say to you, Bibb, if it wasn't mandatory for the child to go to school, why was the child up so early?
Mm.
If it wasn't mandatory to go to school, why did she have her clothes, hat, and coat on and walked out the door at a specific time?
So the key is that it was mandatory. They made her go to school.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do it on your job. You are technically on the clock within a reasonable time of your punch-in because you got to get to the clock. So if you live in Farmington and you're working in Detroit, you get a wreck and kill yourself headed to work, nobody thinks to sue the job. Because if it wasn't for the job, you wouldn't have been on that road. That's another one of those acquiescent contracts. And they're going to try and tell you all, what are you talking about? You got to be crazy. Court's going to say it, the lawyer's going to say it, and then you're going to say, well, I tried, Ron. No, you didn't. You should sue pro se. Sue yourself. Because the lawyers cannot go against the system. None of them. Every lawyer's a crook. I don't care if it's your mama. She's a crook. because she swore to uphold the Constitution of England, not United States. That's how she got her P number. She had to swear to do what the Queen said. What the hell the Queen got to do with me? And every prosecutor is a lawyer, and every judge is a lawyer. So they all crooks. And we take for granted that they are, not only are they not crooks, they're honest. There used to be a time when you go in court and with these lying-ass police officers, the judge would look you in the face and say, are you saying that the police officer is lying? But I didn't mean that they was lying, Judge. Well, that's what it sounded like to me. This man gives his life up every day to come out there to protect the citizens, and you standing in my court saying that he's a crook or a liar. You scared to say you damn right he's a crook and a liar, and you you something else to even back him up. They all work together. Ain't no a good one. That's what I say about preachers. Somebody say, oh, that preacher's, oh, don't talk about my preacher. Oh, get out of here. They all swore to the ecclesiastic corporation. The ecclesiastic corporation belongs to the state. And the state has never done anything in your behalf. Because they have you on file as a ward of the state. That means that you are infidel. You got to have a lawyer, and you got to be protected. So they say you an idiot. So we gonna protect you. So shut up, get over there and do this, do that. They got this big case going on. I know you heard about it. If you haven't, we ain't gonna talk. But if you have, just down in Montgomery, Alabama, with that preacher. You heard about that?
About the preacher being gay or something?
Yeah, no, worse than gay.
No.
He had AIDS, and he was having affairs with his women folk in his congregation.
Okay, no, I hadn't heard that one.
Oh Lord, it's big, Bev. It's huge. It's huge. But now they're caught up. Listen carefully. In the state of ecclesiastics. He can be protected under ecclesiastic corporation.
That's what the priests do with the that's what they do with the priests.
Getting ready to say, if you'd have said something different, I was going to shove it right back at you. Them damn priests be having all that little sissy stuff go on with them. Ain't none of them ever went to jail because that's a state. The Vatican and the Catholic Church is a state, and they have their own rules in the state. And you, being a citizen, cannot challenge it because you don't have a state. And especially you and me, because we don't have a nationality, or we don't know how to sue with a nationality. Can you dig it?
Yeah, yes, it's all coming together. It's all coming together.
Man, I'm telling you, this is something else.
Yes, it is.
Oh, and then you got to get out and try and teach it, and it's difficult.
Now, what about if a person has a business and they have a corporation? Is that different from them being a corporation?
It depends on how the structure of their corporation is. Most of them don't know how to set up their corporation. They just get incorporated to protect them from being sued. And they'll get either a non-profit corporation or, there's what? I'll just guess. 25 different corporations. Liability LLC.
Right.
Sole proprietor. All kinds of corporations. So it would mean, how much knowledge do you have when you got the corporation? Did you put everything in the corporation? Do you have rules and regulations set up? For example, listen to this. They had this on the news. Some guy, they named the place, I can't remember, but they said that he had a print shop, and he was printing all types of stuff, baseball caps, T-shirts, everything you think of. All of a sudden, some gay people came in and wanted him to print T-shirts that had some X-rated something on the T-shirt. He refused. They sued the human rights of the city, and I almost called Fayetteville, Kentucky, where it happened. They found him guilty, the man that owned the store, because he was discriminating. And he needed to not only print what they had, they want him to go to what they call them. They want him to go to classes because he was unfair to homosexuals.
Mm.
Now think about that. Now, had he had his corporation set up that I have categories on what I'll print. I have regular print, and then I have special print. I determine what is and what ain't. Follow me on this, Bev.
Right.
And then the bylaws of his corporation. So here comes 1,000 people want T-shirts. I'm printing like crazy. Why are you printing, Rock? Because they are ordinary print, and my bylaws say I got to print them. Here comes something in with something that's undesirable, up to and including, let's say the Ku Klux Klan want to hang a nigger and hang him on the front of the T-shirt, or a blackie nigger wants to take a machine gun and start shooting white people. Any way you want to look at it. He say, I ain't printing that. Oh, we going to take you to court. So he goes to court. Now, if judge runs that you got to do this because you are commercial, you are this, you that, this, you that. So the answer is, my bylaw said that type of print is special. I'll print it like I told it, but it's going to cost $1 million a T-shirt. Because it's special.
Okay.
Now the judge might get smart because he don't like it and say something like, well, you are violating his civil rights or his human rights because the law says he has a right this and a right to do that. Your answer has to be, you cannot come into my state and change my rules. So you can, and when I signed up to get this corporation from you, I reserve my rights. That was the key.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Unbelievable. And every time you pick up a product, I don't care what it is, from condoms to lady stuff, and I don't know why I went there because we talking about that. But whatever you pick up, if it's a product, you're going to read on that product, it says somewhere around the bottom, all rights reserved. We reserve our rights. And that means that whatever happens to you in our bylaws that we're not responsible because I reserve my rights. You bought it as a name product to do something with, do it. Just because you had problems with it, we ain't got nothing to do with that because we reserved our rights. Do you hear me, Beth?
I hear you. I hear you.
And the judge know this, and if he got some smart aleck out there like some blackie, he going to try to fix it so he don't have to tell the blackie that he reserved his rights. He going to try to figure out how he can tell the blackie whatever you did was incorrect. If it was a shoe and it broke your foot, you put the shoe on backwards. Something like that. He ain't going to let you know. That's what you call that word I was trying to figure out earlier. And I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to email it to you when I get home. I know where it is. It's 2 words. Something like anti-allelia. Something like that. And what it means is you're only getting half truth. So that judge is up there. He's an expert in giving out half truth because he got to find a reason to keep you in the dark. Because he can get more money if you dumb rather than you being a smart aleck. That's why when somebody challenges the judge in traffic court, the judge says, stop. We'll hold this case to the side and we'll take everybody else and then we'll come back to that case. And if a person slip in that's like that, the judge is going to reprimand his lawyer or the prosecutor because every time you go to court, somebody's going to come out in the hall and call your name. Have you ever been down there, Beth?
Oh, yes. Somebody's
going to come out and call your name, be it your lawyer or your prosecutor. Either one is going to go back and tell the judge, we got a troublemaker, so you better put his on the last. He think he knows something. So the judge said, well, we'll put him on the bottom because I don't need to have that because I got to get the money from all these other people. And if they listen to him, they're going to say the same thing he said, and I ain't going to make a dime today. Now, let one of them slip in, and they didn't tell that judge, somebody is in trouble. Oh, Lord, it's so simple when you look at it.
Yeah, when you explain it to us like this, but we don't know. It looks hard, but it's really not.
It's not. It's common sense.
Yeah.
But they give you so much gobbledygook, and then don't forget the news media, may it be TV, newspapers, radio, they all talking that madness that's crazy. Then you got your niggers, I keep calling them niggers, you got them blackies that's going to concur with the other trash. So here you are sitting back trying to figure out, and then your spouse may say, well, why don't you quit fighting all the time and go ahead and do this and do that? You know what I'm saying? A guy was telling me today, his wife got in an argument. She wanted to challenge the church, and the preacher told her in confidence, he said, your mama was a Christian, your grandma was a Christian. What makes you think you ain't a Christian? They didn't cause no problem in this church. They was here for 40 years. I knew your mama and your grandma. They never thought. Here you come in here trying to tell them something. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And Jesus and God ain't going to forgive you for this. I told him she should have got up and cold-cocked that punk. Boom! See if he forgive me for that. But he said she left crying. She was hurt and left crying. I don't know what she asked him, but whatever it was, he didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Oh, help me, somebody.
Now, Ron, I'm looking at this complaint form.
All right.
And they're saying here you can request confidentiality.
Yes.
So with that,
now,
they can't. With that, what is that about?
Yes. Now, I would advise. What number is that on the back page?
Let me see. That's number 6.
Number 6. I'm looking at it. It says request for confidentiality. Please tick as appropriate. We decided to say yes. Request for confidentiality.
Okay.
Check yes. Please indicate which information you would like to be kept confidential. So I think we decided that we didn't want nothing to be confidential.
Okay, so y'all check. So you check no. You don't want it to be confidential.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Request for confidentiality. No, we don't want it to be confidential.
Okay. We
want all of it to be out. Because, see, that confidential goes back to the front when it asks you other, and you don't tell who you are, nationality, or, on behalf of the person, please specify. They want to know who you are and will you stand up for your rights. My thing, now, everybody's not cut out for this, Beth. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I can only give you the information. And you should be angry enough to say, I'm tired of this crap. Quit talking about it on the corner and in the bowling alley, in the pool room. Damn that. You got an opportunity here with one of these complaints to tell it. So you need to tell it.
So my thing is, okay, once the complaint is filed, what happens if they find that things are people are guilty or things are the way that the complaint says? What happens then?
You mean what would happen to the individual?
Yeah,
file the complaint.
Yeah, just say, for instance, the water department, the complaint that is going on now with this. What would happen if they come in and they say, okay, the complaints are correct? What happens at that point?
Same thing that happened 30 days ago when they said, turn the water back on. Stop, everybody. Stop doing it. Turn the water on. Remember I told you that. They turned the water on.
Yeah.
Because the people that's doing it this weekend had contact with United Nations. United Nations said, we will come and investigate. So the people came back to Detroit and told the courts, United Nations is coming. So they panicked and said, stop. I don't want to lose my career. That damn judge, Rosen, whatever that punk's name is, he said he didn't want to have his career damaged with this type of stuff. Everybody started ducking. They turned around and said, we're going to give the water back to the city. Remember this now. All of a sudden, we're going to give the water back to the city.
Wait, Ron. I want to tell the people that we're going to be going off in 5 minutes, but you can dial 347-215-8041, and you can still hear the conversation on your telephone. Go ahead, Ron.
The court said that they wanted to get out of it. So the judge said he's not going to lose his career over this.
Mm-hmm.
All the other crooks started backing off. So they came up. The governor said, okay, here's how we'll do this. How we going to get out of it? Give the water back to the mayor, who is a part of the crooks. But he tried to act like he's on the other side. You know that because you live here.
Yeah.
So they came out with a whole big network stuff. We are going to go and give it back. We're stopping. We're going to turn the water off. Don't worry about it. We're having a meeting. We're going to have all kinds. I gave you all that information about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, United Nations didn't come. Or better yet, on the timetable, they said they was coming. They didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then they found out that they were coming, so now they got to clean up the act. So they called us, I'll say us, meaning welfare rights lady, called us and said, hey, listen, we have a water, what they call it, a water relief plan. We want you to come down to the city hall and sit. We're going to take pictures, and we're going to tell the news that everything is solved. Because we got this plan. Maureen, knowing, coming from Drum, coming from me, or us, not me, it's me, but us.
Mm-hmm.
She said, oh, no, we ain't buying that. If you have a plan, then you use your plan. It should have been used yesterday. We need to meet to agree on a plan. And that made the mayor so mad, he didn't know what to do. He sent several blackies over to her and begged her in so many words to come down. She said, I'm not coming. And I don't want to meet with him because he has enough power to come in here or set up a neutral place. We'll all come there and we'll decide on step 1, step 2, because I got over 3,000, 4,000 people that are poor and they got their water cut off. And every time y'all start talking, y'all say that people won't pay because they don't want to pay the bill. I got people that can't afford to pay the bill because it like I told you earlier, it went from $80 every 3 months to $90 every month.
Yeah.
In less than 2 years.
Now, what about if they come back and say, because like the water might be $20 for the water, but then it could be $70 for the sewage system. It doesn't matter.
All right, that ain't our problem.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
If we're going to pay for that, then we should charge all of the people that get water from us. And they're talking about over $600 million of revenue on the suburbs annually that comes from selling them water. And they said there's over X number of miles, I can't tell you that because I don't remember, a pipe in Detroit, and over 70% of the pipeline of water is old and corroded. It's got to be replaced. So what they did, said, well, we're going to form a new corporation. Oh, listen to me carefully. A new trust, and we're going to call it I had the name, Midwest Michigan, something like that, Port Authority. And we're going to set up 6 votes. We got 3 counties. We got Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland County. So we're going to set up 3 counties. Oakland County and Wayne and Macomb County gets 1 vote. Wayne County gets 2 votes. That's 4. The mayor gets 1 vote, and the governor gets 1 vote. Something crazy like that. So we're being honest and trying to make this thing work. However, we're going to add to that. We're going to give the entire water department back to Detroit. So y'all can't say we took your water. Here's your water back. But we're going to control the revenues that you sell to the suburb. It's going to this North Regional bullcrap port authority. And them niggas signed for that downtown veterans. Now they had, I heard this on radio. I heard them Patterson and all of them. They said, well, we think that's a good thing because in addition to that, Detroit can get their own money from the people that don't have money to pay. I don't know what price they're going to charge, but we're going to give Detroit $50 million a year to help fix the pipes. We think that's enough because they can leverage the $50 million if their credit is good and borrow $300 million on $50 million that we give them every year.
But how much is that authority? How much is that authority, the water authority, collecting from the other surroundings?
$600 million, Betty, Beverly.
And they giving them $50 million, and they getting $600 million.
Yes, and they're going to regulate the prices. So that $600 million can go up or go down. Now, here's where the problem started after Coleman left. Here's where the problem started. Detroit was selling it to the suburbs at a rock-bottom price. When the suburbs got the water, they had those substations. When the water went to the substation and the cities turned it on for their communities or municipalities, they added a surcharge, Beth. So if we were selling it to them, for example, at $10, let's just say $5 a gallon, just for a number. They were selling it to the suburbs for $15 a gallon. Said it was a $10 surcharge. Nobody knows where that surcharge went. But they told the suburbs it's them Negroes in Detroit who sold it to us for $20, and we trying to help y'all out. And for years, they said that all time Coleman was in there. Coleman told them all, you're liars, you're punks, you're lying, you're cheaters. That's why they never did want to come around Coleman, because he would bring up that stuff. We don't have nobody like that down there today. Oh, it's a mess. And let's not forget the consent decree. You know what a consent decree is?
Mm-hmm.
If I sign a consent decree with you, I can give you the right to come in my house and check out all of my bills and all of my income, and you can regulate. It's something like a bankruptcy. You can regulate to pay so I can keep my house and my food and my family. These idiots that they, man, it's so simple. All the crooks, the female, that damn cockerel, can't call her name fast enough. That other one, that Brown, the other cockerel, they hurry up and sign quickly to give up the control to this consent decree so they can tell the people, we didn't do it, they did it. And they can't get out from under it. It's a binding contract. You follow me on this?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Man, I'm telling you, woo, it's a mess. It's a mess, Bev. It's a mess. Now, since they brought in the illegal emergency manager, illegal, because the entire state voted we don't want it. The governor, through a midnight, what else you want to call it, meeting, said we're going to bring him in.